Arsenal are back in action. After smashing 3 goals past Real Madrid, the European champions have been working behind the scenes, so today we'll break down all the media antics after the game. We'll also get an exclusive update from David Ornstein, reveal a brand new transfer target, as well as the latest on Victor Gyökeres. We'll also discuss the big potential return as Arsenal take on Brentford. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Baz14. Welcome back to your boys channel, and I'm sure you guys are still over the moon after that first leg victory against Real Madrid. But the games keep coming. So as per, smash a like on this video if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Help your boy on his road to 300,000 subscribers. But starting off with the post-Madrid breakdown. On a day where the stars were out, Dua Lipa in the crowd celebrating after the game. The Arsenal fullbacks were also good, as Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. were both unable to complete a single dribble all game, as Jurrien Timber and Miles Lewis-Skelly locked them down, with even Sammy Mokbel confirming after the game. Arsenal have now set up new contract talks with Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. I'm not sure if people realise just how special that performance was. 18 years of age against the reigning European champions, up against a wide forward that people were comparing to Bukayo Saka. Miles was not playing like a boy, he was playing like a man, with so many pundits after the game saying, this guy is now a shoo-in for Thomas Tuchel's England. It was a gargantuan night where the rice was definitely cooking, the second one being a screamer, receiving so much praise after the game. From Frank Lampard to John Terry, Lando Norris and AJ Tracy. After their free kick madness, Rice has been named the Champions League Player of the Week, ahead of Kvaratskhelia, Lewandowski and Bastoni. In a competition where we've seen some great English midfield performances, Steven Gerrard for Liverpool, Frank Lampard for Chelsea. This was a night that Declan Rice put himself in the history books. A performance that created shockwaves across the entire world. It wasn't just Arsenal fans that were speaking, even rival fans were applauding. But as much as Rice deserves his flowers, I also want to give some to Mikel Arteta. Up against Carlo Ancelotti, a serial European winner, Arteta coached a masterclass. In a game that Arsenal should have easily scored, even before the 2 free kicks. It was a night of box domination. From the example of Marino's goal, where Arsenal committed 6 players into a Madrid box and still found space to score a goal, to even towards the end of the game, dropping 8 players back into their box to completely outnumber Madrid, as Arsenal smashed in 3 and kept a clean sheet. According to the Opta stats, Arsenal now have a 96% chance of qualifying for the Champions League semi-finals. If it was any other club, I'd say Arsenal are guaranteed to go through, but we're not facing any other club. We are facing the ultimate comeback kings of the Champions League. A 4% chance for them is more than enough to mount something. But what I found very fascinating after the game is the amount of reports coming out of Spain. From reports that Real Madrid are the most keen on William Saliba. Despite joining the summer being highly unlikely, he's a contract with Arsenal until 2027, and the club want him to renew. So either Madrid will have to be turned down, or any potential fee to sign the player will be too high. This is why they're deploying their usual transfer strategy, staying close to the player discreetly and preparing the ground to sign him in 2026 for a more affordable amount, or as a free agent in 2027. Then you had more reports saying that Fede Valverde, Vinicius Jr, Mbappe and Bellingham all spoke in the locker room after the game. They made it clear that they will stage a comeback, and everyone started to applaud. Followed by more breaking news that the Real Madrid Ultras have announced next week they will do something they've never done before for a team on the road to the Bernabeu. For me, this is all Florentino Perez, the guy that runs Real Madrid, trying to force narratives in the media to reach the fan bases, maybe even the players, giving Arsenal a mental battle, which I can understand from the guy that was a part of the original formation of the Super League, taking on UEFA himself, a major part of Real Madrid's 15 Champions League. But I 100% believe a trip to the Bernabeu is never easy. But with all the reports in the media, Real Madrid are going to have to come out with something massive. But what I think is the most crazy thing about this is the fact that Arsenal have forced this upon Real Madrid with a defensive midfielder playing up front. Mikel Merino, who was once again on the score sheets, as he scored Arsenal's third in what was a superb finish. For me, if Declan Rice doesn't score his 2 free kicks, we talk about this goal so much more. The quality of the finish, the confidence shot for a player that has now scored 6 goals in his last 10 games. Since February the 15th, Merino is only behind Bruno Fernandes and Marco Asensio for most goals scored by a Premier League player in all competitions, ahead of Isak and Mo Salah, having now been announced as Arsenal's Player of the Month for March. This guy deserves all the flowers that he is getting, because not only is he putting up a shift, but when you score a 3rd goal in a Champions League quarter-final, potentially a tie clincher, Merino is certainly having an impact. So as Paris Saint-Germain smashed 3 past Aston Villa in their first leg quarter-final, Desiree Doué and Kvaratskhelia are both on fire. There are quite a few Arsenal fans thinking about the semi. Which team would you rather play? How would we compare against PSG? But for me, I go back to a famous quote from Kobe Bryant, job not finished. We're going to the Bernabeu, we might be the favourites, but it's now about showing maturity and professionalism in a competition that has seen some crazy comebacks. Think about Unai Emery's PSG against Barcelona all those years ago. We may have passed our last European test, but another one is coming. This one for me the ultimate. But as Arsenal's new sporting director Andrea Berta was spotted, smiling behind Mikel Arteta after the game, a man that Real Madrid have caused so much pain to during his time at Atletico. Arsenal have also announced the official departure of their former sporting director Edu Gaspar after a 6-month garden league had come to an end. As Edu announced himself on social media, he was formally closing his Arsenal chapter, saying, "I wish Arsenal FC all the best and every success. I also send my warmest wishes to the new sporting director Andrea Berta, who now takes over this beautiful role." And we've seen Andrea Berta, a man that has arrived at Arsenal and definitely made an impact, with more reports coming out this week that the core members of Mikel Arteta's backroom staff at Arsenal have all signed new contracts to the club. Albert Stuyvenberg, Carlos Cuesta, Inaki Kana, Nicolas Silva and Miguel Molina now all have deals that run the length alongside Mikel Arteta's. It's great to see that Arsenal are being proactive, acting serious off the field, whether it's planning for the summer of 2025, while also sustaining what they currently have. With the likes of Carlos Cuesta being so highly rated, the obvious impact of Nicolas Silva, with Stuyvenberg, Kana and Molina also a major part. I do find it quite intriguing that since the arrival of Andrea Berta, even on the field we have seen improvement. Certain players that have been underperforming all season have finally started to turn up, and it makes me wonder, are they playing to impress? A new director has arrived, a man with European experience and a record of being ruthless. In more breaking news regarding another ex-Arsenal employee, according to Fabrizio Romano, Spurs have confirmed that former Arsenal CEO Vinay Venkatesan will join the club's board as their chief executive officer in the summer. Having spent 14 years across different roles at Arsenal, he is now joining Tottenham, an ex-Arsenal man that had already left. I'm not quite sure about him going to Tottenham, but in terms of Arsenal and our North London rivals, we have announced 2 more games for pre-season, as Arsenal will take on AC Milan and Newcastle in Singapore, with a game against Tottenham at the end of July in Hong Kong. A side that is currently in the Europa League as Arsenal are thriving in the Champions League, as they drew their first leg against Eintracht Frankfurt, where Hugo Ekitike pulled out the Thierry Henry celebration right in front of the Spurs fans. It is the history of the Tottenham, but for Arsenal our focus remains elsewhere. Far bigger things on the agenda, which brings us perfectly to the breaking news regarding our title rivals Liverpool. As according to Fabrizio Romano, Virgil van Dijk will now sign a new deal with Liverpool, valid until June 2027. The agreement is done, alongside the further breaking news that Mo Salah has also signed a new 2-year contract, agreed, sealed and confirmed, meaning Liverpool have retained 2 of the 3 players that were set to leave. Trent might be going to Real Madrid, but with Salah and Van Dijk staying, having seen their level of impact this year, how vital they've been in the title race. It's something for Arsenal fans to focus on going into next season, a year that Arsenal need to get themselves over the line, especially in terms of the Premier League. According to Guillaume Balaguer, Arsenal are expected to make 5 big signings in the summer transfer window, and that for me is completely necessary. Not only will Liverpool get stronger with more signings on top of Salah, but with the likes of Man City getting Rodri back, Chelsea growing year by year, Newcastle a threat as well if they can keep Isak, it's vital that Arsenal do not mess about this summer. So moving on to a David Ornstein update. In a summer where so much focus is going to go on the forward line, we've actually got a brand new target that has now been revealed. As David Ornstein confirmed, Arsenal are among the clubs interested in signing Dean Huijsen. It's a tricky situation given the current centre-back core at Arsenal, but if Kiwior departs, it could be something concrete. Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta are both big fans. 19 years of age, a centre-back that has caused shockwaves in the Premier League, having signed for Bournemouth only last summer, breaking through into the side back in November, with a consistent 7.25 rating over the course of the season. Standing at a whopping 6'5", Huijsen has a lot of physical potential, but for me it's more his outstanding ball-playing ability. Reported as ambipedal across many websites, meaning that he's comfortable both left and right feet. With his heat map showing for Bournemouth this season, he's mainly played on the left-hand side. There's a reason why it's so intriguing, because as Fabrizio Romano confirms, Huijsen has a £50 million release clause that can be activated this summer. With the likes of Real Madrid and Liverpool both interested, Arsenal might have Gabriel and Saliba. Timber and Calafri can also play centre-back, but in order to be a big club you also have to be proactive. So I love the fact that Arsenal are throwing their name into the hat. Even though centre-back isn't an area of need, when a player of this quality becomes available, in order to be an elite club and keep the standard, you need to make sure that you're in the race. But in terms of David Ornstein, he's also got an update in terms of the forwards, saying that Arsenal have done a significant amount of work on Benjamin Sesko over a long period, but as his colleague the Gunner blog has reported, Arsenal have some reservations, so perhaps Arteta and Berta are prioritising others. That doesn't mean that Sesko is out of the equation, but perhaps Arsenal is not looking at his most probable destination at this moment. We know that United rate him highly too. He is also among the names that Chelsea are considering, and I'm sure other clubs are too. With Sesko not being Arsenal's main target, it's because 2 other names have taken over. As Ornstein confirms, Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres are now both ahead of Benjamin Sesko on Arsenal's summer list. With Ornstein also saying recently, Gyökeres is clearly the one we should be paying close attention to, whether it's the price point at £65 million or the wage structure. Not to mention that he's also a goal machine. Since the arrival of Andrea Berta, the links to Gyökeres have definitely grown. Clearly a player the sporting director likes. According to Fabrizio Romano, Gyökeres will leave Sporting Lisbon this summer and he will soon have to make a decision, available for around 65 to 70 million euros, with add-ons which is less than his release clause. Andrea Berta is a big fan and has tracked him for over a year now. Is Victor Gyökeres going to be the striker to get Arsenal over the line? A player that is all about putting the ball into the back of the net. He was once again on the score sheet in Sporting's last game against Prague, in a game that he dropped a 7.5 rating, 1 goal from 5 shots, 3 successful dribbles and 1 big chance missed. In a week of free kicks, Gyökeres has also scored one, with a smart choice to go under the wall as he caught the Braga keeper out. To me, it looks like Arsenal are opting for experience, with Isak and Gyökeres both being over 25 years of age. These are players that are in the peak of their powers. They need less time to develop because they know exactly what they need to do. Šeško for me is still a fantastic opportunity, a striker with such strong fundamentals. He has the potential to be as good, if not even better, but the question is, do Arsenal have the time? Having developed the likes of Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, with a team now that has a lot of players reaching 24 years of age, with all the pressure to win trophies next season, not only to appease Arsenal fans, but also to keep your best players, I can understand the strategy of Andrea Berta. So talking about players that are 24, according to David Ornstein, Newcastle United's Anthony Gordon is also one of the names on Arsenal's radar, with all the reports that Arsenal are looking for another wide forward. Gordon's a player that has made his name in the big games, with 17 goals and assists in 19 games against the Big Six since the start of last season, with 9 goals and 7 assists this season, 12 goal contributions inside the Premier League. He's a profile that definitely causes chaos. Having seen him against Arsenal multiple times, there's a reason why the likes of Liverpool also have interest. But the main question that I have is the deal attainable? After a summer of being chased by Liverpool last year, come the start of this season, Gordon signed a brand new 6-year contract, with uncertainty over the future of Bruno Guimaraes and Alexandre Isak. Even if Newcastle are going to lose one of those players, I don't think it will be Gordon, a player that I see as a centrepiece of Newcastle's project, a team with a very good chance of getting Champions League football. For me, Arsenal will have the other priorities. And as Fabrizio Romano confirms, Arsenal will sign a striker but will also sign a winger, and Nico Williams is considered the perfect player by Mikel Arteta. But to convince the player and get the green light will take time, and they'll have to respect the timeline in such a big race. A player that was involved in the Europa League quarter-finals, as Rangers drew Bilbao 0-0, Williams dropped a 7.0 rating with 6 key passes and 4 successful dribbles. No player completed more successful dribbles or made more keep than Williams in the Europa League this week. But for Arsenal, the focus now turns to the Premier League, as Brentford come to the Emirates Stadium, a team currently sat in 12th, fighting in mid-table with Man United in top, as Thomas Frank gave Arsenal massive praise, saying it was an unbelievably impressive performance against Real Madrid. When it comes to Brentford, as we all know, it's never an easy game for Arsenal. Even last year, it took a late Kai Havertz winner for Arsenal to get all 3 points, a result that was massive in last year's title race. But this year with Arsenal 11 points off first place Liverpool, with 7 games remain, the general feeling is that Arsenal don't have a chance to come back. But now the question falls to Mikel Arteta, having rested the likes of Martin Odegaard last week against Everton, in a game that Arsenal drew once again, only for Liverpool to lose the day later, having smashed in 3 past Real Madrid, with another massive game on Wednesday. Is he going to risk his place because we might have a chance? Confirming before the game that Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka are both fit, no issues or injuries, they are all good, but Saka's just come back from a long-term injury. With the start against Real Madrid is first since December, will Mikel Arteta make it 2 out of 2? How strong is our lineup going to be? But one player that won't be available but might be soon is Arsenal's German striker Kai Havertz. Having recently posted a video on his social media confirming that he's back in the gym after a hamstring surgery, a player that was meant to be out for the rest of the season, but described by Mikel Arteta as a physical machine, could potentially be about to return early. According to David Ornstein, it looks and sounds like his recovery is going very well, so perhaps they'll try to reintegrate him before the season finishes, if it's safe to do so and if there's something to play for. But let's see, there's a lot of ifs in that. And now, as Mikel Arteta confirms, hopefully Kai can come back before the end of the season. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was all of your latest Arsenal news as Brentford come to the Emirates Stadium. How strong is Mikel Arteta going to go, especially with a trip to the Bernabeu looming around the corner? As per, we're going to see, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and in a bit.